CP in terms of training on the pesticide risk assessment, where we have engaged trainers from the UK Chemical Regulatory Directorate, and they have been training our technical staff on risk assessment. There are a number of components that we have included in this partnership with the SCP, which I have listed there. And then on capacity building, we have also been working very closely with FAO, the Netherlands, the Wageningen University, again on risk management. We have also been working very closely with the Swedish Chemical Agency. As we speak now, we have about 2 of our people who are already going through training in Sweden. Then we have also been collaborating very closely within the East African community, again, trying to build capacity within this region. On spray service providers, again, we have also worked very hard. We have over 1,500 trained young people who have been trained on how to deal with the pesticides. Next, please. Now, for the issues to do with the residues, we have a residue laboratory that we have constructed. That's a building on the right side. And this has been funded purely by the National Treasury through funding from the Kenyan government, recognizing the need for us to look into the residues that we may be having in the local market, and of course, even for export. It will also look at the quality of commodities in the Kenyan market, quality of water, which was mentioned earlier, and also soil, whether there are residues in soil. So this is currently ongoing, and we are hoping that we will be having maybe other partners who can support us in terms of equipping the laboratory. Next. Then on importation, we have a regulation that looks at importation of pest control products, and to ensure that not any product is brought into the country, we have the Trade system that monitors all chemicals that are coming into the country, so that before the products come in, we monitor and we evaluate what is coming in. Next, please. Operating locally, Kenya also works together with other international agencies. Kenya is a signatory to the Multilateral Environmental Agreement on pesticides, and we participate in all these meetings. We have the Rotterdam Convention, Montreal Protocol, Basel Convention, Stockholm Convention, and Minamata Convention. In these conventions, people all over the world discuss the properties of products that may be having adverse effects on human and environment. And as a country, we discuss in this fora so that if the world decides to ban a certain product because of certain hazardous effects, Kenya also comes back and domesticates that requirement. Then currently we have banned 43 products. If you go to our website, you'll find 43 products that have been banned, and we have others that have been severely restricted. I can see I'm told time is almost up. Just give me 1 minute. All right. Then we have also been doing some surveys, also following recommendations from Parliament. This year alone, we have done 3 surveys. The first one is on pesticide use, where we have actually noted that there is really need to collaborate with other partners to train farmers on safe use of products. Again, we also did another survey where we had 63 samples of kales, tomatoes, and onions that were sampled. And we looked at a number of molecules together with the Agrochemical Association of Kenya. And we had some very interesting results that from the samples that we got, 63 of them, only 1 sample had exceeded Codex MRL. And what we noted is that 98.4% of the samples actually complied. But of course, if you look at the EU MRL, some of them may fail the test. We are also currently conducting a survey in collaboration with the Michigan State University in the US and the USDA, and the aim of the current survey is to establish the level of non-conforming products in the Kenyan market. So a few challenges that we are facing is, number 1, the old law, which we are addressing through the review, funding, as I had mentioned earlier. Then we have the issue of porous borders. A few products may be coming from our neighboring countries. And lastly, next please, the issue of extension services. We really need to request the government to have the extension services enhanced so that they can train our farmers on how to use pesticides. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. We will have questions and interactions shortly after this, because even from our online viewers, there is great interest in the presentation as a regulator, and I think also members here may want to engage. And so for now, I wish to invite the director to just say a word before we move to the next session.
Thank you very much. Thank you also to the presenters and the last presentation. So at this point, we invited Honorable Gladys Boss-Cholet to speak over Zoom. She's currently not in the country, but apparently there is an issue with the Zoom link, so we can't have her presentation today. Honorable Gladys Boss was in the previous parliament the MP who tabled the petition that was actually mentioned, the petition of 2019 that triggered the whole process that the previous speaker spoke about. I would like to wrap up a little bit because we had presentations with so many information, facts, and like different topics. It was very important, I think, to hear about alternatives because the Atlas clearly presents the challenges, the hazards, and the problems. And there are many. We heard about figures like 385 million people globally suffer every year from health effects that are directly related to the uncontrolled use of pesticides. For example, we heard in the first presentation that 76% of pesticides that are imported, and this is a figure from the year 2020, to Kenya, 76% of those pesticides contain one or more ingredients that are classified as highly hazardous. And highly hazardous means causes acute or chronic risk to health. So these are alarming figures, and I would invite you again to have a look at the Atlas, the various articles, the 6 articles that talk about Kenya or Africa, and the remaining articles who talk about universal and global issues that are, of course, very relevant in this country too. We will have a Q&A session, and we have a video message from a German member of parliament who is currently visiting Kenya with the committee of the German parliament on food and agriculture. The message talks about double standards. You also heard the figure that 44% of pesticides that are imported to Kenya, again, in the year 2020. And these are all facts and figures that you can read about here, that 44% are, for example, in the European Union, not allowed anymore for use or are not used anymore. So these are alarming figures. We'll hear this video message